Good morning. Good morning. This is Danielle K. Howell, and I'm excited, as always, to be on this call, the Motivational Monday call, which is what I have entitled this. I've been doing this call for a few months now, and every week it just gets more and more excited to me because I get to talk to those who are ready to make a change in their lives, and that is what it's all about. I started on my journey of not just being in the home-based business industry, but the journey of self-improvement about 2 years ago, I would say, when I started to make that transition, when I started to think about making a transition from my job to being my own business person, to being an entrepreneur. Although I was in network marketing for about 15 years, on and off, part-time, I was still working a job. And, I made lots of strides in my job. I started out as a teacher's assistant. I went back to school to get my master's degree. I became a teacher. I did everything that society tells you have to do. You have to work, you work hard, you go to school, you get good grades, and, you make a living for yourself. And I was making a good living for myself. My husband is an electrician. I was a teacher. I had my business on the side in network marketing. So I feel like, I was making a good living. We were making a pretty decent living. But I wasn't happy. I was not happy. I always felt like there was more that I needed to do. And today on this call, I'm going to talk about creative visualization. And I think that creative visualization is so important because every day we are visualizing something, whether it's negative or positive. And like I said, I've been on this self-improvement journey for about 2 years, and that's when I started, maybe even a little more than 2 years, but that's when I started meditating more and getting more in touch with myself, visualizing, learning how to do creative visualization, just really eating better, just doing things that would improve myself, reading more books, listening to more audios. These are the things that I started doing because I wanted to change. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, but I knew that I wanted something more. I wasn't happy, believe it or not, being a teacher. I loved the kids. I loved the kids because I worked with special needs kids. I loved those kids, and I loved helping them. But I didn't love my principal. I didn't like the fact that one time I went out on my prep, if those of you on the line that is a teacher, and I came back, and the unit coordinator, which is like, the supervisor, not really the principal, but she's the supervisor of our school, said, well, where were you on your prep? And I looked at her and I said, I went to my car. I had to make a phone call. So, she said, well, you need to be in the building, when you're on your prep. And that kind of got me upset because wait a minute, I'm an adult here. I take care of my responsibilities. I'm in the classroom all day long, working with these kids, getting good recommendations, and I couldn't step out for an emergency to make a phone call. So that was kind of the breaking point for me when I said, wait a minute, I have to do something different. I have to find a way that I can do the things that I want to do on my own terms without having to, talk to a boss, without having to answer for my actions. Like, when you're an adult, you feel like you have to walk on eggshells or you have to please somebody else to do the things that you want to do. To me, that's not living. And, also my kids, I wanted to be on trips with them. I love going on school trips with my children. I love volunteering in their schools. I love those kind of things. I'm on the PTA board. So these are the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't want to have to make excuses or to ask permission to take a day off to do that, or, to ask if I could come in late or leave a little early so that I can fulfill my responsibilities as a mother. And for those of you who are mothers on this call, you understand that because it's important. It's important to spend those times with your children because they're not babies forever. And so those things, in a nutshell, of course there were more, but those two things really propelled me into the home-based business industry, and I really decided, I made a decision to make that change and do it now. So this was after, it was about a year ago that I decided, that's it, I'm going to do it. You know, I walked away from my job, and I started my business. Yes, through a lot of trial and error, lots of it. I'm still going through some trials and error, but I know so much more now than I used to know. But the thing about it is, when you decide to do something, you have a vision in your mind. Like I said, I'm going to talk about creative visualization because I think that is so important, because you have to know where you want to go. It's not enough to just, you know, float through and make a whole bunch of mistakes and not know what you want to do and keep going and still making mistakes and still, you know, over here, over there, listening to this person, that person. That's not going to get you where you need to be. So if you have defined, clear goals and you visualize those goals on a daily basis, write down your goals. This is something that I do. I have my goals written down in my office. You know, I have lots of goals. I have my spiritual goals. I have my professional goals. I have my personal goals. I have my fitness goals. You know, things that will make you a complete person from head to toe. And because you just can't focus on one aspect. You have to focus on the whole person. And in order to help others, this is what I've, you know, come to realize by all my readings and all these things and listening to audios and listening to just successful people, period. In order to help others, you have to make sure that you're okay. You have to make sure that you are in line with your morals, with your visions, with your goals, with just everything that you are supposed to be. You have to be aligned in a way that whatever you say and do will resonate with other people. Because let me tell you something. People know when you just, you know, BSing and you're not really, you know, taking the things that you say seriously. They'll see it. They'll see right through you. And I'm the kind of person, like I was telling my husband yesterday, you know, I'm always trying to think of new things that I can do to, you know, increase my bottom line, because I have goals, and I have them written down, like I said, on my wall. So every day I look over my goals and say, okay, what can I do this week that will help me get a little closer to my goal? So every week is, you know, a new endeavor. Every week I'm adding to my itinerary, so to speak, because there's some things I do every single day, no matter what. And then there's things that I have to put a little cherry on top, so to speak, you know, let's see if this will work so I can reach more people, because my objective is to reach more people. My vision is to help 100 families this year reach a six-figure income. Is that possible? Absolutely. How? With creative visualization. Because if you create and you visualize the things that you want to do, it manifests itself as long as you're willing to work towards it. And I'm going to give you another story. I was on a call last week, and there's someone that's on our team, The Dream, Adrian Hines, and his talk was so great because he was talking about moving. He just moved, him and his wife, and he spoke about how his wife had visualized exactly how she wanted their new house to look, exactly how she wanted her office to look, exactly, you know, how she wanted the view outside her window to look. And, you know, it was just such an amazing call because, you know, this is something that we need to do. We need to really pinpoint down to the letter exactly what it is that we want. And before I started doing this, I really wasn't getting results in my life. I mean, you know, and believe it or not, you create everything that you think about. So if you're thinking about debt, if you're thinking about, you know, bad relationships, if you're having problems, then you're going to manifest that. And I've experienced that in my life. There was one time where, you know, my husband and I, we would take a lot of trips. We would buy a lot of things, you know, just buying things. And I would always be like, oh, my gosh, now how are we going to pay the bills? So whenever I used to think like that, guess what? Like the bills would come up short. Like, oh, no, now we're stressing. I mean, we always came up with the money at some point. But just imagine every time you think about lack, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to pay that? How is this going to happen? How? And instead of asking, instead of being grateful and thankful for what you have and seeing how you can manifest things abundantly, okay? You want to manifest things abundantly as opposed to seeing the lack that may be happening right now in your life. So let me give you another example, right? So sometimes before I started doing all my visualizations, there used to be times when my husband and I, we didn't see eye to eye. So in those days, we still don't see eye to eye all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think we have the best relationship. We have our moments. But there was times when I just didn't know how to deal with it. So I would dwell on it. And say, oh, my gosh, how could he think like that? Or why doesn't he think the way I do? And, I would resonate this over and over in my mind, just keep going on and on. And guess what happened? Did it help the situation? Absolutely not. If anything, it made it worse. So then, when I'm coming home after thinking all the negative things, I would come home, and instead of us working towards a positive situation, a positive end result, we just kept it going. We kept it negative, because I would bring up all the things as to why. When he would relate to me, I would say, this is what I think. But once I decided, okay, my quote is not being recorded right now. I don't know what happened. But anyway, once I decided to change my mindset and to think about the relationship, start to visualize the relationship that I wanted with my husband, I'm going to tell you, a whole new world opened up for us. I was able to understand his way of thinking more. We started finding books, like this book, Women Are from Venus, Men Are from Mars. We started reading that book, and it's an incredible book to help me understand how he thinks and vice versa. Now, he was able to understand how I think as a woman. So, when you start to have an outlook that is positive and you work towards a solution as opposed to ruminating on the problem, you just open up everything that the universe can give you in abundance and prosperity and success. And that goes for every aspect of your life. That goes for relationships. That goes for your financial situation. That goes for your children, your whole family dynamic. There are a lot of people that have problems with their children. And, one thing I pride myself on, I thank God for my children, because, I've learned that they chose us as their parents. So it's our responsibility to raise them in the conscious way possible. So, once I realized that, that's another thing that happened. It just, child raising just became so much more pleasant. It's just so many things that you can think about and that you can apply to your life when it comes to living a more successful and positive life. So I'm going to leave you with these 4 things to help you with creative visualization. All right, so first, you want to set a goal. You want to set a goal, whatever that goal is, whatever aspect of your life that you feel is not where it needs to be. Set a goal. Write a goal. It could be 5 months from now, 6 months from now, but don't make it too far in advance. I would say a year or 2 max, because you want to see that goal manifest as soon as possible. So you want to set a goal, okay? You want to create a clear idea or a picture of that goal. So you want to, if you set a goal, let's say you want to, one of my goals, honestly, is to make $250,000, right? And that is within 1 year. So I would set my goal, $250,000. What I would do, which I already have, I have a blank check on my wall. And it's funny because Jim Carrey, I don't know if you ever heard Jim Carrey's his story, but he did the exact same thing that I did, that I have on my wall, a blank check. You write it out for how much money you want to make. And he did that for $10 million. And what happened was I think it was 3 years later, he got in a motion picture. I don't remember which picture it was, and that picture paid him $10 million. I think it was like to the date of the day that he wrote the check. So when I say create a clear picture or idea, you want to make it plain. You want to, even if you have to draw a picture so that you can see it, so that you can feel it, and you want to focus on it often, day and night, middle of the day. Have it in your subconscious mind so that it's always there and that it's never too far out of your mind. And you're always trying to make provisions to reach it. All right, so you want to make sure that you're focused on it often. And lastly, you want to put positive energy towards it. You want to always look at it and just claim yourself having it, achieving it, whatever it is. You put focus, that positive energy on it, and eventually, over time, when you keep doing these things, you will achieve what it is that you're looking for. It's not rocket science. Many athletes do it. Entertainers do it. And now we understand that we can do it also. Business owners, just regular people who are, living a life can do it as long as you change your mindset. So last week I talked a lot about mindset. This week we talked about creative visualization. Right now it's 10:16. This call is usually about 15 minutes long. I thank you for getting on this call. Hopefully it was inspiring, uplifting, motivating. You learned something. I'm here every Monday from 10 to 10:15. This has been Danielle K. Howell, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.